Since 2 weeks I worked non-stop on a demo for the Steam Next event, and yesterday I thought I was done. I packaged the project, sent it to a friend, and only by looking at the gameplay I realized it's just a shooter. Of course you have some fancy stuff like abilities, jetpacks and a shield, but at the core it's just a shooter. However, Project Mind was never intended to be just a shooter, and in the first video about the game I still knew that. Project Mind is going to be a space-themed shooter in first-person and spaceship fights, where you have to raid other spaceships in order to get upgrades, new ships or whole space stations. From there you can organize your fleet and plan the destruction of your enemies, the Scions. But over the past month I completely forgot to implement the real game loop, and that's what playtesting reminded me of. Project Mind is so far away from a Steam-ready demo that it might not be possible to get it done until the last deadline. And that's totally fine. I'd rather have a less popular demo with all the core features in it than a rush demo with a lot of bad reviews. So while the to-do list I got out of playtesting feels like a curse in the short run, it's definitely a blessing in the long term and helps to create a better end product. In addition to that, I didn't get negative feedback only, so let me show you what I've accomplished besides doubling the size of my to-do list. Since the player movement felt a bit slow and boring, I decided to add sliding. In my opinion, it's a better way to increase mobility than just sprinting, and provides the possibility to combine sliding with the jetpack boost, which leads to more momentum and some interesting fights, especially when used with the slow motion ability. However, shooting the enemies still felt a bit impactless, so I changed that next. The first attempt looked a bit questionable, so I tried out some ragdoll related impact things, but most of those attempts were even more questionable. At the end it worked, and if you shoot the arm of the enemy, there is a possibility that he will stop shooting because of the pain. I also had to fix some bugs with the door interaction, but I think the glow up of the flight system is way more interesting. First, I made the spaceship rotate according to the movement instead of being static all the time. Then I tweaked the shooting, gave it some more impact and disabled the possibility to shoot while you are boosting, because all your energy gets into the engines and block the weapons. Here my inner perfectionist knocked on the door and made the weapons rotate towards the crosshair, but that's a bit hard to see. Whether you hit the enemies or not was also quite hard to see, so I gave them a few different states of destruction with those fire indicators, which might not be physically correct, but if my perfectionist doesn't care, who else will? And with all that, the flight stuff was done. The controls are pretty precise now, but can get out of hand quite fast, as I've seen while my friend tested the game, so I might have to change it a bit in the future. But honestly, after those changes I had enough of blueprints, so I started to work on the main menu, since the demo should clearly have that. I jumped over to GIMP, laid out some ideas, and the one I liked most was this one where your cursor is a weapon and you have to shoot the buttons represented as asteroids. In my opinion, it's a better way than just some basic UI placed on the screen, and that's why I decided to rework the overheat and jetpack indicators as well. Instead of this bar getting bigger and red, you now have the light turning from green to red, with red being overheated. And for the jetpack you have this glass container filled with gas, which represents the power of the jetpack. The last step was to create a demo mission. Therefore I needed a spaceship selection, so I created some icons in Blender, put together the UI in Unreal, and after a bit of magic you were able to select between those 3 spaceship types. At the moment the stealth ship is my favorite, since the flying just feels pretty good and smooth, whereas the bomber is a bit slower but deals more damage to enemy spaceships. And if you want to easily destroy enemies while not feeling like a snail, the fighter class might be the best choice for you. Other than that, I added some dialogues and an intro cutscene, but that might change again since the demo mission I've planned now is a bit different than this one. So if you don't want to miss that date, make sure to wishlist Project Mind on Steam, or join the community Discord, where I will ask for some playtesters once the real game loop is developed. Honestly, I'm not able to tell you how long it will take, since some of the systems I thought about sound quite difficult to implement, but that's something for a different video. At the end, I'm glad that I let my friend play the game before uploading the demo, and it turns out that playtesting is more a blessing than a curse if you want a good player experience. And that's it for today. Thanks a lot for watching and have a good one.